ASMR. So I invite you to sit back, relax, close your eyes, and just listen to my voice while I am whispering to you. I am going to keep reading the book that I've been reading for you to help you fall asleep and help you have a great night. So let's get started. For those who are new here, once a week I read part of this book. The book is called A Course in Miracles, and it's basically a book about love. It goes beyond any religion or any beliefs that you might have. So I invite you to listen to these words. So we are still in chapter 3, The Innocent Perception. And I am going to read session number 3 as well. Perception versus knowledge. Number 1. We have been emphasizing perception and have said very little about knowledge as yet. This is because perception must be straightened out before you can know anything. To know is to be certain. Uncertainty means that you do not know. Knowledge is power because it is certain, and certainty is strength. Perception is temporary, as an attribute of the belief in space and time. It is subject to either fear or love. Misperceptions produce fear, and true perception foster love, but neither brings certainty, because all perceptions varies. That is why it is not knowledge. True perception is the basis of knowledge, but knowing is the affirmation of truth and beyond all perceptions. Fall asleep. Relax into these words. Number two. All your difficulties stem from the fact that you do not recognize yourself, your brother, or God. To recognize means to know again, implying that you knew before. You can see in many ways because perception involves interpretation, and this means that it is not whole or consistent. The miracle being a way of perceiving, it is not knowledge. It is the right answer to a question, but you do not question when you know. Questioning illusions is the first step in undoing them. The miracle or the right answer corrects them. Since perceptions change, their dependence on time is obvious. How you perceive at any given time determines what you do. perceives itself in time, and therefore looks for future answers. The closed mind believes the future and the present will be the same. This establishes a seemingly stable state that is usually an attempt to counteract an underlying fear that the future will be worse than the present. This fear inhibits the tendency to question at all. Number 4. True vision is the natural perception of spiritual sight, but it is still a correction rather than a fact. Spiritual sight is symbolic and therefore not a device for knowing. It is, however, a means of right perception which brings it into the proper domain of the miracle. A vision of God would be a miracle rather than a revelation. The fact that a perception is involved at all removes the experience from the realm of knowledge. That is why visions, however holy, do not last. Slip, 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 slip. Number 5. The Bible tells you to know yourself or to be certain. Certainty is always of God. When you love someone, you have perceived him as he is, and this makes it possible for you to know him. Until you first perceive him as he is, you cannot know him. While you ask questions about him, you are clearly implying that you do not know God. Certainty does not require action. When you say you are acting on the basis of knowledge, you are really confusing knowledge with perception. Knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking, but not for right doing. Perception, miracles, and doing are closely related. Knowledge is the result of revelation and induces only thought. Even in its most spiritualized form, perception involves the body. Knowledge comes from the altar within and is timeless because it is certain. To perceive the truth is not the same as to know it. And this is 100% right, in my humble opinion, that perceiving the truth is not the same as knowing it. Knowing it, knowing it, knowing it. Number 6. Right perception is necessary before God can communicate directly to his altars, which he established, and his knowledge will bring peace without question. God is not a of Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, and before Abraham was I am. Perception can and must be stabilized, but knowledge is stable. Fear God and keep His commandments, becomes know God and accept His certainty. And I just came to the realization, I just realized that I've read this part before in the other video, but that's okay. Number seven. If you attract error in another, you will hurt yourself. You cannot know your brother when you attack him. Attack is always made upon a stranger. You are making him a stranger by misperceiving him, and so you cannot know him. Attack is always made upon a stranger. You are making him a stranger by misperceiving him, and so you cannot know him. It is because you have made him a stranger that you are afraid of him. Perceive him correctly so that you can know him. There are no strangers in God's creation. To create as He created, you can create only what you know, and therefore accept as yours. God knows His children with perfect certainty. He created them by knowing them. He recognizes them perfectly. When they do not recognize each other, they do not recognize Him. My kitties are around here. Session number 4. Error and ego. Number 1. The abilities you now possesses are only shadows of your real strength. All of your present functions are divided and open to question and doubt. This is because you are not certain how you will use them, and are therefore incapable of knowledge. You are also incapable of knowledge because you can still perceive lavishly. Perception did not exist until the separation introduced degrees, aspects, and intervals. Spirit has no levels, and all conflict arises from the concept of levels. Only the levels of the Trinity are capable of unity. The levels created by the separation cannot but conflict. This is so tingly. Cannot but conflict. This is because they are meaningless to each other. Number 2. Consciousness. The level of perception was the first split introduced into the mind after the separation, making the mind a perceiver rather than a creator. Consciousness is correctly identified as the domain of the ego. The ego is a wrong-minded attempt to perceive yourself as you wish to be, rather than as you are. Yet, you can know yourself only as you are, because that is all you can be sure of. Everything else is open to question. The ego is the questioning aspect of the post-separation self. I'm going to read it again. This is why you cannot escape from fear until you realize that you did not and could not create yourself. You can never make your misperceptions true, and your creation is beyond your own error. That is why you must eventually choose to heal the separation. Number 4. Right-mindedness is not to be confused with the knowing mind, because it is applicable only to right perception. You can be right-minded or wrong-minded, and even this is subject to degrees, clearly demonstrating that knowledge is not involved. The term right-mindedness is properly used as the correction for wrong-mindedness, and applies to be the state of mind that heals misperception, and this is indeed a miracle in view of how you perceive yourself. Number 5. Perception always involves same misuse of mind. I'm starting again. Perception always involves some misuse of mind, because it brings the mind into areas of uncertainty. The mind is very active when it chooses to be separated. It chooses to perceive. Until then, it wills only to know. Afterwards, it can only choose ambiguously. I don't know. It's ambiguous. That's the word. And the only way out of ambiguity is clear perception. The mind returns to its power, to its proper function, only when it wills to know. This places it in the service of spirit, where perception is changed. The mind chooses to divide itself when it chooses to make its own levels. But it could not entirely separate itself from spirit, because it is from the spirit, and it derives its whole power to make or create. Even in miscreation, the mind is affirming its source, or it would merely cease to be. This is impossible, because the mind belongs to spirit, which God created, and which is therefore eternal. Slip, slip. Number 6. The ability to perceive made the body possible, because you must perceive something and with something. That is why perception involves an exchange or translation, which knowledge does not need. The interpretative function of perception is distorted is a distorted form of creation, then permits you to interpret the body as yourself in an attempt to escape from the conflict you have induced. Spirit, which shows, could not be reconciled with this loss of power, because it is incapable of darkness. This makes a spirit almost inaccessible. vanishes darkness merely by showing you it is not there. Truth will always overcome error in this way. You cannot be an active process of correction because, as I have already emphasized, knowledge does not do anything. It can be perceived as an attacker, but it cannot attack. What you perceive as its attack is your own vague recognition that knowledge can always be remembered, never having been destroyed. Number 7. God and his creations remain in surety, and therefore know that no miscreation exists. Truth cannot deal with errors that you want. I was a man who remembered spirit and its knowledge. As a man, I did not attempt to counteract error with knowledge, but to correct error from the bottom up. I demonstrated both the powerlessness of the body and the power of the mind by uniting my will with that of my Creator. I naturally remembered spirit and its real purpose. I cannot unite your will with God's for you, but I can erase all misperceptions from your mind if you will bring it under my guidance. Only your misperceptions stand in your way. Without them, your voice is certain. I'm sorry, I read this wrong. Without them, your choice is certain. Sane perception induces sane choosing. I cannot choose for you. But I can help you make your own right choice. Many are called, but few are chosen. Should be. All are called, but few choose to listen. I'm going to repeat it again because this is so amazing. All are called, but few choose to listen. Therefore, they do not choose right. The chosen ones are merely those who chose right sooner. Right